Monday, May 9th, 2022. And there's a thing going on Twitter that is kind of spectacular. And it's almost rude, but I can't look away. Steve Schmidt was a campaign advisor for Senator John McCain's presidential run in 2008. And Meghan McCain, the Princess of Arizona, does not like him, has made it very clear she doesn't like him. She thinks he's evil. She hates him. She hates Nicole Wallace based on how they treated her during that campaign. And she has repeatedly um, uh, either retweeted or made allusion to the fact that Steve Schmidt is a pedophile. You know, that's what the Republicans love to do. They just love accusing people of being pedophiles, even of their own ilk, apparently. And he's apparently lost his shit about it. He's had enough. After the whole thing with her book sales that tanked came out, and she was all pissy, and she said one more thing about Steve Schmidt, and he had it. So he went on a Twitter tirade, just a scathing rebuke of Meghan McCain and her behavior on the 2008 campaign, because she worked as an advisor or whatever she did. She ran around, and she got more and more frustrated because she kept getting put further away, and in the third bus or the third plane back, and he just lets her have it. It was her behavior, how unbelievably rude, how unbelievably disruptive. And she says in her audiobook at one point, she talks about how she advised her father on something, and they were all in the room and they all shot daggers at her. But she was so proud of herself because she thought she gave him the right advice about something. And I'm not going to read them to you, but his 16-part Twitter thread on her just breaks down one example after another about what a petulant little shithead she was. And that seemed like, okay, Steve Schmidt got it out of his system. Today, I guess this is early this morning. Maybe he lives in LA, so it was late last night. I don't know where Steve Schmidt is. But he started to go in on Sarah Palin and how what a moron. He very specifically says she wasn't dumb, but she was demanding. And that, and we've heard this story before. I can take the vice presidential campaign plane wherever I want. And he's like, there is no vice presidential campaign. It's a presidential campaign, and you're the vice presidential candidate. And so he goes on to sort of tear down all of the arguments about Sarah Palin, and making the connection back to Meghan. It wasn't that she was a pathological liar who became intoxicated by fame and grievance. She was a victim, victimized by the betrayal of her advisors. So she, of course, after the election was over, vilified Steve Schmidt and went on and on. And he now takes down John McCain in this, about how, hey, Meghan, your father was no hero to me, because when she was giving me shit and going publicly and saying all these things about me, and he said, hey, John McCain, you got to shut this woman down. He said, nope. She'll come after me next. You can twist in the wind. And so he was pissed. They had a contentious relationship after that. Apparently they made up before he died, because apparently John McCain ultimately felt bad about how he treated him. And then when he died, Meghan McCain put Steve Schmidt on the list of people not to invite. and leaked the list of people not to invite. And he talks about how cruel that was. And vindictive. And that's sort of Meghan's MO, right? She's the victim all the time. Everything is done to her. And now he's just saying, hey lady, here's a thing that you actively did that hurt me. She'll never own up to it. But he says at the end of this screed, and I will read this one because nobody, well, there might be more people, but I do enjoy someone telling Meghan McCain that it's your behavior, not your ideology, that why people don't like you. And he says at one point during the 2008 campaign, when he kicked her off the plane or kicked her off the bus or whatever he kicked her off of and pushed her down the line, and he saw Cindy McCain, her mom, and explained to her what he had to do, and she was tearing up and said, I just want you to know I raised two good boys. Cindy knows. So he talks about how he told Meghan no, the thing that her parents would never do. And the reason that he didn't get invited to the funeral, he says, is because I was the guy with the job that your mommy and daddy didn't want and didn't care to do. I was the guy who told you to grow the fuck up. America has been screaming it ever since. You are almost 40 and your behavior has only gotten nastier and more insane. Last thought, the idea of watching you play victim is ludicrous. Preposterous doesn't even begin to describe it. And then he closes it with, Veruca Salt, Meghan McCain. Oh, that poor dear. I'm sure by now she's blocked him, but I kind of want to feel bad, but at the same time, this is the kind of thing you bring on yourself by never accepting responsibility for your own behavior and always excusing it, and defending it and doubling down and being a rabble rouser and never having 1 ounce of humility. So I don't know what kind of meltdown Steve Schmidt is having, but he is also no fucking hero. He is living off of the grift of the millions of dollars he stole from donations to the Lincoln Project. Don't give any money to the Lincoln Project, people. They are a sham organization. Yeah, they're going to try to not let Trump and his little minions win, but that they're not necessarily helping Democrats. They are still Republican shills and they're grifters to the core. There's also an interesting thing in here about how Palin was chosen from a set of McCain advisors who are all now wrapped up in that whole Russia, Ukraine thing. It's like, this has been going on. These people have all been the same dirty actors for decades. And we're now seeing all of that bullshit come to fruition. Sarah Palin really ushered in the end of intellectualism. And he even says she wasn't dumb. She knew to ride the wave of anti-intellectualism and how to drum up the dum-dums, which then Trump took to a whole other level. So, John McCain may have been a hero, but he also made one colossal error that has helped get us to where we are now. So that's your father, Meghan McCain, your father, your father, your father, your father, your father, your father.